But I'll start with a simple question: and the answer is obvious. Everyone has a phone in their hands or in their pocket. Pretty much every phone has Qualcomm chip in it. So we're to phones what Intel is to PCs, and so we are in your pocket, and we are making your phone smarter, faster, better, and definitely increasing the battery life on the phone. So that's who Qualcomm is. But we've been able to then take that technology and apply it to other devices. We are now in PCs, we are in cars. Pretty much every car you will see out there that's modernized, that is digitized, uses a Qualcomm chip in it. We are in industrial devices. We are working with a lot of the companies in the region to enable them with our chips. We are in glasses now, so if you've seen Meta glasses, it has a Qualcomm chip as well. And we are in robotics. We are in all kinds of devices and we're the heart of the device, right? We are the one that makes the device beat, and we're very excited to do all that. Now, within AI, our key role, what we're trying to do is bring the AI to the device. A lot of companies are moving the device knowledge to the cloud, and we're doing the opposite. We're bringing the AI to the device. That's our role in it.
Really, really interesting. And it's this combination, isn't it, of AI and robotics that is getting us to that next level. Right. As you're obviously in this field as well, I wanted to get your take maybe in terms of, AI is still very much in its infancy. However, it's very much redefining traditional roles for us. So I was wondering whether you could maybe give us an overview from your perspective, especially as you're in this industry, in terms of how exactly AI is redefining industries as well as experiences as well, but maybe on a global scale rather than just the US.
Sure, of course. So one of the key things as we think about AI, one of the key goals that we have for ourselves is, how do we make AI accessible to everyone? It cannot be a technology that sits in a few data centers, whether in US or other parts of the world. What we want to do is bring it to every consumer. We want to bring it to every region. We want to bring it to every language. And it needs to be something that scales globally, scales quickly, and that's been one of our key objectives. And our view, as I said earlier, is to really move AI to the device. And here's why it makes sense. If you think about your phone, a lot of data on your phone is private. You want to keep it that way. So if we are doing AI on the device, we can ensure privacy, we can ensure security. The second reason is if you're doing AI on the device, it can be faster. It doesn't need to go to the cloud and come back. It's an action that can be taken right away. Most importantly, and this hits to how we bring AI to everyone in the world, is it's free when you run it on the device. You already have the phone, you already have the PC, you already have the car. There is computing capacity available in those devices. We want to run it in the device. We want to make it free so that it democratizes the use of AI for all consumers. And so that's kind of our key focus area, is to make AI available to everyone, and we're working with governments, we're working with the partners to make that happen. Finally, I think there's kind of this debate of, is AI going to be on the cloud? Is AI going to be on the device? And our view is, just like computing happens in the cloud and the device both at the same time, that is going to be true for AI as well. And what you really need is something that sits on the device, an agent that sits on the device, that is so smart that it can hear the question, it can hear the query that's coming to it, make a decision of where it's best to run that AI workload, and then implement it, right? So sometimes it's the device, sometimes it's the cloud. We think of it as hybrid AI, split between the two, and really the possibilities are endless. I'll finish with one last example of what AI will become in our minds, is we think of AI taking over the user interface of the device. The beauty of AI is you can talk to it like you're talking to a person. You don't need to touch anymore. You don't need a mouse. You don't need a graphical user interface. You can just use your voice as a way to interact with something. And you can talk like you're talking to a person. And AI will be smart enough to understand it, interpret it, and act on it. So those are kind of the key innovations we're focused on. I think we're just at the beginning of what's going to happen in this cycle, and just exciting to be a part of it.
It's basically the ultimate assistant at the end of the day, isn't it?
It really is, if it works right.
Always human-led. We've got to remember that.
That's right.
Also, how does this translate into industry use cases then? And what about user experience as well?
Yeah, so there's a simple, beautiful use cases, I think, that explains the power of how we can bring it to consumers. So I'll use the first one. We were talking to a company recently, and what they're trying to do is use glasses as your hearing aid. So for the older population, if you have a hearing problem, there is a social taboo with wearing a hearing aid. But what glasses could do is it could sense everything based on sensors that are in the glasses, and then it can amplify the voice in your ear and by having a speaker at the end of the stem. It's something very simple, something that's smart enough to understand what you're trying to do or what you want to accomplish. Another thing is your glasses, as an example, can see everything you are seeing. So once that happens, I could stare at that bottle of water that's sitting right there and say, what brand of water is that? And because it can see what I can see, it can understand the question that I asked, it can answer that question for me. I'm going to give an example in a car. If you're driving in a car, there is a way to be able to say, please take me to this destination. You don't need to set it up in your GPS on your phone and get distracted from driving. You could ask, what road am I on? If you're lost your way, you can ask a question about where you're at. If there is a light that goes off, if there's an engine problem, as an example, and there is a light on your dashboard, you can ask the car, what happened here? Why do we have that light? The AI model on the other side is smart enough and trained on the manual in the car to be able to answer the question on what it is. I'll give a couple examples of what we are working on with ADNOC and Aramco, obviously leading very important local companies. One of the use cases is being able to use a handheld device, an industrial handheld device, and you can point to a piece of equipment and ask a question about it. Because your camera can see it, it can recognize what it is. The AI model will know that this is a machine that does this. And if you say, how do I turn it off, as an example, if the model is trained on the manual of that machine, it will tell you this is what needs to be done. If you have a windmill to generate electricity, if you have a pipeline to transport oil, if there is corrosion on it, right now the only way you will know is when there is a problem. However, if you put AI in a drone camera and you run it on top of the entire pipeline every month, as an example, the AI of the camera will be smart enough to know that there is something in this area that needs to be looked at. And now it prevented a much bigger loss that could have happened. And so there is just a tremendous amount of technology and use cases that you can come up with once you put the power of the AI in all edge devices. And that's what our objective and goal is.
So how far off are we from seeing this, do you think?
I don't think we are far off at all. I think the technology is available. Yeah. The technology is already implemented in phones. What we have to now go do is implement the use case, right? So as an example, this last use case that I talked about, we're in the process of working with our partners to implement that in their devices. And so that takes a certain amount of time, but it is not a technology problem anymore. This is really an implementation problem, and I wouldn't even call it a problem. It's really just implementation process that we need to go through to get it up and running.
I had a very interesting quote from someone I interviewed at a different convention, and they said, if you're not implementing AI into your business now, you won't exist in 5 years. I mean, I thought it was a bit of a long shot. Do you think that? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Is that quite a stretch, do you think?
Well, the extreme conclusion of that statement seems like a stretch to me, but I think the emotion of the statement is not. The message is actually very accurate. I'll give you an example. One of the things that Qualcomm we are doing is we are using AI to write code, right? So software, AI will write the software for a software engineer, and the software engineer can just say, I want to write software that does this. And then in comes the output of the entire software code that does that. So I just got an update from one of our engineering leads at Qualcomm saying by the end of this year, by the end of 25, we will have AI write software equivalent to an entry-level engineer. And that's incredibly powerful. Now what we can do is we can free up our resources to work with our partners to implement specific use cases rather than be writing code that the AI can write. And so it's not that far off. And I think this world is moving very quickly in AI, but we always look at the optimistic side of it. I think there's tremendous opportunity.
Sadly, we are running out of time, but I did want to get into this striking a balance between competition and collaboration, because you've obviously got to tread relatively carefully. You want to stay competitive, you want to be a market leader, but you're going to have to help each other on the way up at the end of the day as well, especially when it comes to international and national partnerships. So maybe you could expand on that a bit, and within that, maybe tell us a little bit more about the tech trends that we should look out for.
Yeah, so it's interesting. For Qualcomm, the way we see our role in any ecosystem is to enable the ecosystem. We're not going there to be the one who's going to tell everyone else what to do. We're going there to give them the tools to let them do what they want to do. And it's a very different role than a lot of other companies try to play. And for us, if we are a good enabler of ecosystems, that is our objective has been achieved, and that's a tremendous business opportunity for us. Now, what is an ecosystem, right? And ecosystems can be defined very differently. You can define an industry as an ecosystem. You can define a technology as an ecosystem. You can define geography as an ecosystem. You can define the government as an ecosystem. And so for us, it's about enabling each one of them. And we do everything at global scale. We're based in the US, headquartered in the US, but we have more employees outside the US than in the US. We definitely have more customers outside the US than in the US. So we're by definition very global. And our perspective is really, we want to be the one who enables every other ecosystem. And so the time we are spending in the Middle East, it's very important for us to be a contributor here. We are bringing our technology, but really we're also coming to learn. There is a lot of intelligence, a lot of knowledge here, a lot of use cases here. And my grandfather used to tell me there's a reason why you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use it in their proportion. So we're going to come here and listen with 2 ears and talk with 1 mouth, and hopefully we contribute to the society as a part of it.
Very well said. And there's so many opportunities, as you mentioned, and so much room for collaboration, and a very exciting time ahead. So we really appreciate you being with us here today and telling us all about Qualcomm. And the best of luck with it all. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you, everyone.